Okay. Okay, so this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development, and we are currently live in the breakout room. We have a special guest to share this episode with you guys, and it is entitled The Power of Focusing to Weather the Storms of Life with Darren Williams. As you can see, he's live and in the studio, and he is aching and ready and willing and able to provide us with some great value, some wonderful content about his core competencies, his skills, his experience. Let me tell you a bit about this man. He's a resilient and accomplished individual with over 20 years of experience in sales, marketing, and coaching, also trained in mental health. Key factor. Despite facing numerous obstacles, Darren has achieved top rankings and also trained countless people of numerous professions, leaving a lasting impact globally. With a unique ability to see potential in others and navigate through life challenging situations, Darren is a sought after expert and inspirational figure. He's also an author and a resilience expert who has overcome remarkable odds, as shared in his book, Overcoming and Beating the Odds, Turning Each of Life Lessons into Blessings. Sounds wonderful and inspiring. So without further ado, let's welcome Darren Williams. How are you, sir? Welcome.
Woo! Thank you. Your
I
introduction
told you he was
stopped, but
pumped.
we're working through all of it.
Told you guys he was pumped. Oh yeah. So, Darren, I'd
Yes.
love to begin by asking my people, what do you think more than anything else in this world best defines you, the individual Darren Williams? When people hear your name, what do you want them to think about? What do you want immediately to come to their minds?
I want them to I want them to know that I'm just like they are, and I'm just like
Mm-hmm.
anybody that has gone through a tremendous amount of things throughout their life and still are here. So a lot of
Uh-huh.
people succumb to that, and that's the sad part about it. Some people suffer in silence, and I did that for many years because at a very young age,
Yeah.
it's real, especially in coming from Brooklyn, New York. So it was real. Yeah.
I hear you, my brother. And so tell us about that defining moment in your life when you realize you had to do something different to survive.
Well, like I said, it came down to whether or not I ate because I was homeless for a little more than 3 years,
Yeah.
and knowing or not knowing where your next meal was coming from, or even sleeping, was a challenge. But that defining moment was saying to me, it came to me one day. I was parked up in an abandoned building, and I was trying to get some sleep in order to go to school because and all the folks in my high school they didn't know I was homeless.
Wow.
When all of a sudden I kind of woke up and the guy walked right past me to urinate and the abandoned building I was in. So it was crazy. Those were some crazy times, and I
Wow.
had to get out of there. I had to get out of there,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
wound up
Yeah.
sleeping in some other places. But I said to myself, I said, I have to do something. I don't know what it is, what it will take, but I asked God to move through me to show me
Mm-hmm.
what I need to
Mm-hmm.
do. And even till the day, I'm still asking Him to show me, and
Yeah.
guide me on
Yeah.
on this path because I'm a brand new author, and this all of this is new to me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and even opening myself up
Mm-hmm.
to the mainstream media. It's a lot of people like, well, couldn't you've had relatives to stay with or this and that? And back then I was 15 years old
Wow.
when
Yeah.
my mom put me out, and
Mm-hmm.
I thank her to the day because that taught me you either fish or cut bait.
Right.
So
Yeah.
my thing was I had to understand, okay, I'm in this situation. How do I get out of this
Mm-hmm.
situation? So
Yeah.
by asking him to show me the way and show me what I need to do. He gave me some powerful tools to be able to connect with people, to be able to dissect and kind of because I'm a systems person, and
Mm-hmm.
I re-engineer the challenge and problem. I did that in sales and marketing too. But yeah, that
Yeah.
defining moment was I had to do it. I had to do it. And
Yeah.
getting shot
Yeah.
at, when I was sleeping in
Wow.
the cemetery,
Yeah.
that was a crazy moment too. Running in the dark, I said never again, never again. I mean, for 2 minutes, running in
Yeah.
pitch black dark, not knowing where you're going, and
Wow.
then eventually falling into a hole. So, and the hole had a body in it. So, and anyway,
Woo.
but yeah, anyway, it was real in the field. But those defining moments, I look back on them, and I don't look back on them to say, what was me, poor as, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for all those things that I went through. I just want people to understand that, this too shall come to pass, and
Oh yeah.
my mentor,
Oh yeah.
he's taught me that, and I've been, yeah, but that defining moment was, like I said, getting shot at and banned the buildings, and I had to do something different, I had to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for being so vulnerable and real, Darren. And someone in the audience has given you a thumbs up, a like. So you're beginning to hit people already. The power of focusing to weather the storms of life with Darren Williams. That's the episode, folks. And I'm going to try to guide him along in that direction as much as I possibly can. So you were in
Hmm.
sales and marketing. How did you get from where you were to sales and marketing? What was that transition period like for you? And I want you to focus on the emotional aspect of it so that folks can understand how you elevated yourself, even facing your challenges.
Yeah, yeah. So to make a long story short, I went. I worked at one of the top hospitals in New York City, and I worked there for
Hmm.
20 years. And
Okay.
going through the whole mainstream of being able to help people in need, that came to play. But I also have been in network marketing prior to that. But when I got here to Florida, my awesome wife, happy
Mm.
life,
Yeah,
and
thank God for that.
that's right, amen. Every day, she said, "D, you need to do something." I said, "All right." So I started looking for work, and she found a position for me with this marketing group. So I went for the interview, and actually, my boss, she had COVID. So anyway,
Mm.
make a long story short, I met with her business partner a few days later because she liked my energy and everything. And then when I met with him, and it was like 50 people there, he veered out the room because a lot of people, it wasn't for them. Being a
Yeah,
brand ambassador, we
yeah.
worked for 5 different nonprofit charities. So going from one charity to the next, and even if you're in sales, you have to understand what you're selling. You have to be able to
Hmm.
connect with people before you even
Hmm.
try to sell folks.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
whole thing was I had to learn how to transition because I was great at networking. I'm still great at networking, but a transition from that to sales. So I had to dissect it, and then I was terrible at sales in
Wow.
the beginning, but I was still connectable. And the gentleman that taught me, his name was Javier, young guy, and
Yeah,
Javier's in his early 20s. So you can always learn something from somebody young.
yeah,
You're never too old to
yeah.
learn or not learn. So
Exactly. Yeah.
so he taught me, and I came home and I said, you know what? He made it seem so easy. And every time we would go to the different sites for a couple of weeks, I would mess up. I would say the wrong thing, and he was nice. He corrected me, not in front of the customer and stuff like that. But he's like, D, you tweak it this way, I wouldn't say it this way, but I would say it that way. And after a
Hmm.
while, I got good. I got good going
Yeah,
into my
yeah.
second week, and they promoted me. They promoted me in my second week, and then the third week I got promoted. I got promoted the first time to um, sales manager, and then I got promoted to training manager in my third week. So that now I'm training folks to train other people. So
All
yeah,
right.
it it was real in the field. But I love that because I worked with so many different variations of people, young, some old, male, female, you name it. But people are people, but we all
Yes.
connect. When you connect at the heart,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what's most important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, Darren. Thank you for sharing. Oh, you are a resilience expert. And when I think about resilience, I think about after COVID, how people needed to find some kind of fire, Darren, some kind of reason to bounce back, while at the
Yes.
same time trying to process what just happened.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, how do you, with your personal experience as well and your clinical experience, help people to gain some kind of momentum that resilience becomes a reality to them? You share that, you impact them upon their lives from that perspective. And at the end of the day, there's a transition.
Hmm.
And I can tell that you have that because I can feel the passion in your voice. What
Hmm.
method do you use to get them to that point?
Well, I do a lot of coaching. So in the
Mm-hmm.
coaching aspect, it allows you to take a step back to
Yeah.
see things from like a 10,000 view,
Yeah.
like a drone. And at that view, you can see exactly, okay, what direction you want to go in. What are the obstacles? So, like I said, I'm a systems person. So I dissect those things and I help people to kind of weather the storm by helping them find their own roadmap, their own,
Mm-hmm.
because we all think things differently. We all do things differently. So the best way to get someone to do that is to help them develop their own method that would help them. Because what works
Yeah.
for me might not work for you. And what might
Right.
work for you might not work for the next person. So there's no
Yeah.
cookie cutter kind of system to that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
basically, like I said, you're sitting down and finding out what the needs, the wants, the desires are, what's been holding the person back, and what's allowed them to be able to be where they are right now. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we forget where we came from. We
Yeah.
get so focused on where we are right now, but we forget where we came from. And you
Right.
sometimes you have to thank the higher power above, because there is no higher boss than my boss. And I
Amen.
give all thanks and praise to him, because he's still continuing to guide me and he's still continuing
Mm-hmm.
to guide other folks. So
Yeah.
yeah. And like you said, during COVID, and my wife and I, we worked in the hospital for 3 years of the thick
Mm.
of COVID in New York. We were in the
Yeah.
epicenter.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I lost 89 people, 89 or 59,
Wow.
59. I lost 59 people in 1 year.
59. Mm.
Yeah. And it was crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
My.
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. It's amazing that we are so similar, and it's only the small things in life that really makes us unique. I don't use the term different. I use the term unique because I
Yes.
think that everyone has their own divine originality.
Yes.
And as coaches, we help them to discover that.
Yes.
So, based on your experience, Darren, what are some of the things that you see people are challenged with that you have to peel the layers back before they actually see the visualization of that drone view of their life, so now they can make a better decision going forward.
Yeah, yeah. I got a text message from a young man who I was his training manager, and he became a training
Hmm.
manager also, and he was a
Yeah.
part of my team. He thanked me for forever changing his life, and um, I still get kind of moved by that, because all I did was share, and all I did was
Mm.
allowed him to find his voice, his why. But with what we're blessed with, holding on to it, you do no good. You
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
give it away.
Ah,
And connecting with the next person, and like I said, connecting with him, and he great young man. He was 19 years old when first met him. No, 18. He was 18. Wow, it's 2 years ago.
yeah.
And right now he's in line to become a new owner of
Mm-hmm.
that business, which
Right.
is phenomenal. He's 20, so there's not
Mm.
many 20-year-olds that
Yeah.
that are kind of focused and poised for that. But he was all over the place, and I
Mm.
helped him to kind of find his direction, his path. He was a type of person where he gets so caught up with, if he didn't get results, he beat himself up. And I had to kind of constant remind him. I said, listen, this too shall pass. You can't focus on where you are. Focus on where you want to go. You know,
Exactly.
and he's been blessed big time. Not only him, but several of the folks that left Florida and went to North Carolina. They're doing some phenomenal. I think they just opened up like 3 or 4 different offices. And all
Okay.
these are young folks, and all of them I trained.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Your legacy is being built, Darren.
I
And
received that. I received, and yours is
yes.
too, my brother.
Th-
Yours is
thank
too.
you, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so what prompted you to get into the writing? You said that you're a new author on the block, but what was the inspiration behind the writing?
Well, the inspiration was one day I was sitting with I was working in a psych unit, and
Mm-hmm.
working basically protective, to make sure that they
Okay.
didn't hurt themselves or hurt anybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
And I got to talking with several of the nurses and doctors there, and they kind of conveyed a lot of the stuff that they went through. So I said, okay, let me share. So I shared. And after, I guess about 30, 40 minutes, they were like, well, D, we don't see that. You're a totally different person. I said, because I'm from the ghetto, but I'm not in the ghetto. So,
Okay.
and when you have gone through stuff, you know, you can talk about it. And a lot of
Mm.
times I till the day I still suffer from imposter syndrome, because
Mm-hmm.
looking back, seeing all the stuff that I went through, I still can't believe I went through a lot of that stuff. But
Yeah.
like you said, like I said before, you don't focus on where you are, focus on where you want to go. But
Mm-hmm.
after talking to them, they was like, D, you need to write a book. And I was like, I don't see it. And this was almost 20 years ago. And
Uh-huh.
yes, there's the book. And I
That's right.
procrastinated. I procrastinated
Mm.
to the hilt. But I said, you know what? And October came. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
I found this company, and they really helped me to be able. It's called selfpublishingschool.com,
Mm-hmm.
and they helped
Yeah.
me to be able to publish the book. They gave me all the insight, all the tools, all the knowledge, and I had to do a brain dump, to of all the stuff I
Mm.
went through. It
Yeah.
was exhilarating. It was exhilarating.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, yeah, and I'll also mention this. So whenever you go to do something great, the adversary is going to try to trip you up, no matter what
Always.
you do.
Always. 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 He's just gonna
Because
come.
he knows
Yeah.
greatness is right at the doorstep.
Yeah.
So, so I was scheduled to launch in July. So as I'm about to launch in July, at the place I was working at, they decided to let me go. So they let me
Mm-hmm.
go in May. So it's been a challenge, but this too shall come to pass. So,
All right.
um, you know, and but the blessings keep coming in. People loving the book. I'm loving being on podcasts, sharing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and being able to give back. I'm also working with some community leaders in the area,
All
some
right.
church leaders, to be able to
Yeah.
talk to some of the youth, because you gotta we gotta help them, because
That's right.
they
That's
suffered in
right.
silence, being
Uh,
isolated. COVID reared its ugly head, but One of the pastors said, I've been called. So I don't see it. I don't see it. And I guess I don't see it because I want to stay humble and stay hungry, but I
Hmm.
also want to be able to stay relatable too, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, how did you come up with the name Overcoming and Beating the Odds, turning each of life's lessons into blessings? And I love the cover. I love the photography.
Thank
It's
you.
excellent
Thank you.
work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell us about
Yeah.
that.
Um, I came up with like 50 different titles,
Mm-hmm.
and the titles I did I did process elimination. What was good,
Okay.
what wasn't good,
Uh,
and then once I got through that, I had about 50 on that. So I got down to like 30. So when I got to
mm-hmm.
30, I was like, nah, I still need to kind of cut this down. And I said, this title doesn't grab me. So I
Okay.
prayed on that. So I said, Lord, I said, um, which title do I need to use? So this actually is a combination of two of the
Mm.
of that 30 that I
Yeah.
saw.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I'm feeling that. So with my launch team, I ran that by my launch team, and they liked the idea. And then I did something with them on the cover design. So because we had several different cover designs, I didn't like the other ones. The other ones were kind of like Mickey Mouse, kind of corny.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
one here, it represents a whole facet of things, and everybody
Yeah.
has been telling me they like the dawn, they
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the freedom of
That's
that.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's an amazing contrast, and it really gives the perfect background for the actual name of the publication. I love it.
thank you.
Um, yeah, you're welcome. Have you been able to do live book talks, Darren? I'm seeing that so many authors, they have these powerful stories to tell, and the people that read the book, they read the book alone. But
Hmm.
if you have the opportunity to be before a live audience, and you can actually read portions of the book, but they are feeling the passion in real time, live with you in the moment, and they can get that feeling, that vibe of what you actually had to go through, beating the odds. Have you had the
Hmm.
opportunity to do some of those?
Nah, not as of yet.
Ah,
But I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, I'm going
mm-hmm.
to be speaking at a few churches pretty soon here in Florida,
Okay,
and
okay,
I plan on doing that abroad as well. But not only about the book, but being able to overcome and be
mm-hmm.
able to have that resilience, have that that um that fortitude,
Mm-hmm.
to forge on, even
Yeah,
in business, some
yeah.
people they let things stop them, and you can't. There's, like I always say, there's always a lesson in the blessing.
Oh yes, oh yes, definitely. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, is there gonna be a sequel, a part two, a follow up to this publication?
Yeah, yeah, because there was a lot of stuff I took out of the book. My
Mm-hmm.
awesome wife, who said, in the beginning when I did the manuscript, she was like, "This a little too dark," And I was
Mm.
like, "Okay," because I just, like I said, I just did a dump,
Yeah.
and it had a lot of stuff in there. So I wanted to keep it positive and have a positive spin on it because people need to know, even though you're going through trials and tribulations, like my father always says, and it came to pass. It didn't come and stay. So we need to focus in more on that. But yeah, like I said, I look forward to spreading the word, spreading the wisdom, especially our young folks, because our young folks need it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already started, like I said, with some of the folks in sales and marketing, and I still keep in contact with a lot of them too, and I
Yeah.
uplift them. One young man, he we had a situation with, because at the time we were working for Doctors Without Borders. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They
Yeah,
go
I
into the
am. I am. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Wonderful,
So
wonderful stuff they're doing. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. Yeah.
I was the top salesman here for them. So
Mm-hmm.
and actually all in North America, my numbers were one of the highest. Me and another young lady,
Hmm.
she was in Vegas,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
did a Zoom, and out of like 1,500 different offices, they called my name, and I was like, maybe they made a mistake, you know. So, but the most important that was crazy, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really
All
looking forward
right.
to some
All
things.
right.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Part two is on the way. Okay, great. You have two likes now. So it's a double whammy from the audience. So
My
folks, we are
wife is
listening to yeah. Oh, okay, okay. Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. You can always count on her. I get it. I get it.
absolutely.
Folks, we are listening to Darren Williams here, a resilience expert, and we are looking at the power of focusing to weather the storms of life. So, Darren, let me put a little twist on our conversation here.
Hmm.
When you look
Hmm.
at the challenges of what is happening in the world, and I know that you have a heart for the youth, you speak fondly and passionately about helping the young people going to the
Yeah.
churches and so on. What are some of the solutions that you think are absolutely necessary that creates the opportunity for a more brighter future, but maybe some folks are just not seeing it?
Well, we're getting back to connecting with our kids. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of parents, especially during COVID, the communication with parents and children kind of went in another direction
Uh-huh.
because a lot of kids didn't open up as to all the things that they went through, and not only
Mm-hmm.
when what they went through are still going through, because there are
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
kids that didn't get a chance to graduate. They didn't get a
Mm-hmm.
chance to see their friends. They were homeschooled, and everybody was on lockdown. And I'm not saying lockdown was great, not saying it wasn't. I'm not saying it was worth it, but that time that we went through um, has kind of held us back. But going back to
Wow.
your question,
Mm-hmm.
that connection with our children. So right now, one of the missions that I have is I help struggling parents to reconnect with their kids because that's what's going to help. They're our future.
Yeah.
And if and tomorrow my young son he turns 35. Big
Wow.
man, big
Yeah.
man, married
Yeah.
2 years now. So
Okay.
they don't need you, once they they get grown and on
Mm-hmm.
their own and everything. But every now and then, he'll give me a call to see if, hey pop, how you doing, how you doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to keep that lines of communication open. And the reason why
That's
that's so
right.
important, because I didn't have that in the beginning with my
Mm-hmm.
mom and my dad.
Mm.
When mom put me out, I became angry. And I was angry for several years. I mean,
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And I had to come to that realization her putting me out was actually a blessing in disguise. It
Mm.
taught
Yeah.
me to be able to handle life no matter
Mm-hmm.
what throws at you. And
Yeah.
I mean, at an early age. And then my
Right.
dad, who I would hardly see, I would see him only a few times. My dad he was like my hero, but
Okay.
and he too, dad was no joke. I don't know if you finished reading the book, but he did quite a few things to let me know that yeah, listen, I brought you in here, I'll take you out.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
it
Mm.
was real. My
Yeah.
parents
Yeah.
were real and raw, and I appreciate that. And we laughed and we joked about that years later. But and he's like, "Oh, I don't remember all that." I said, "Yeah, but I do." Our kids remember those things,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
important to find out because
Mm-hmm.
unless you ask those questions, you'll never know. Unless you
Yeah.
make that connection, you don't know where your kids are headed in. And that's sad. That's a sad state of
Mm.
affairs. And the times where we're living right now, we need to get back to that. The tribal species, we need to get back to that.
Wow. I hear you, and I'm thinking about the family structure. And I'm in the Caribbean area, and when I look at people, I see a lot of dysfunctionality in families.
Yeah.
And Darren, it's a sad thing because I know within my heart that it's not the way that God meant it to be.
All right.
And I'm thinking to myself, how can we address dysfunctionality, even in its weakest form? It seems to have that negative impact on families' lives.
Yeah.
And so many things are happening. The world is moving so fast. The pace of development and technology and
Yeah.
AI is
Yeah.
like the speed of light. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, how do we slow the process down and get back to the basic foundations of family life? Have you experienced any of those challenges with the folks that you're dealing with?
Yeah. Yeah. The same young man I was just talking about
Yeah, yeah.
really did not have a good relationship with his parents, especially his father.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He gravitated more towards his mom than his dad, and
Yeah.
I became kind of like his surrogate dad. And
All
and
right.
and not that I wanted that, not that I looked for that, but he needed that to be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the other gentleman that I worked with, uh, who kind of opened up to me and told me that he's not in his daughter's life, and
Mm-hmm.
I I let him tell me exactly what was going on, and we were working at the
Yeah.
time doing the charity, and at the
Yeah.
time we was doing ASPCA, so we was working for the animals and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he conveyed to me his childhood. His childhood was pretty bad, was very, very bad,
Uh,
and he grew up in not in the U.S. He grew up in Cuba, but
all right.
they migrated here to the U.S. and he yearned for that connection with his daughter. And I gave him
Mm.
some ideas. I gave him some ways that he could kind of feel better about himself, and also gave him some tools to be able to have that conversation with his daughter. Because he's like, oh well, I don't think she really, needs me in her life. And I said, brother, every girl needs her dad in their
Yeah.
life.
Yes.
Mom
Absolutely.
too, but they need
Yes.
that male figure in their life to show them what a real man is, to show them
Yes.
what can be,
Mm-hmm.
not that they have to settle for,
Yeah.
and that's so thrown in the air right now. Like I said,
Mm.
we need to get back to that, and that's so important. That's why that's one of the passions that I have, because I didn't, like I said, I didn't have that coming up, but I also made it a priority to do that with both my sons.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they know where I'm at. They have that connection. Like I
All
said, I
right.
wouldn't see dad for years on end, and then when mom
Mm.
put me out, I had to live on the streets. So the
Mm.
streets taught me how to survive.
Right.
That's why
Yeah.
till the day I still got trust issues, but still,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it is what it is. Even
Yes.
if you're in the Caribbean, going through those challenges with someone that's can guide you, and we take for granted our seniors nowadays. No matter where
Mm.
you are, our
Wow.
seniors have so
Yeah.
much ammunition, so much experience that they can pass on, but our young folks have no clue because they don't think we were ever their age.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing stuff, but so true. So true. So, Darren, I'm just gonna give us a break here, and
Hmm.
I'd like to share a video with our friend Phoebe Trotman. She's an amazing athlete out of Canada, originally from Barbados,
Nice.
and she has written two books. One entitled "Never Quit on a Bad Day." It's
Mm.
the story of some business individuals who had some really tough days, but they never quit, even though when the day was the baddest they got down to their deepest and
Mm.
bounced back. And the
There you go.
second one, the sequel that she wrote, was Never Quit on a Bad Day, and she brought stories of these athletes who had their lowest moments, including herself,
Mm.
and bounced back. And she has appeared on this podcast and my other podcast entitled Breaking Out of Depression. So let's just share a moment with Phoebe as she talks about our sister podcast, Breaking Out of Depression. Here we go.
All right.
Hi, friends. Phoebe Trotman here. I wanted to just thank Andy, Charles, and the team for what they're doing with their broadcast. One of the things that stood out to me is that they truly care. They are there every single Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, sharing what they have gone through, their experiences. They have guests who have gone through real challenges, and those guests are sharing what they've done to push through those challenges. And but one of the things the reason I want to encourage you to tune in is because it helps you realize you're not alone. There is a community of people who care. There are people out there who've gone through challenges and they're sharing what they did to push through. And so it's a show of hope. It's a show of encouragement. It's also a show where you can learn. You can learn a tip or two to help you along your journey. So I encourage you again, tune in every single Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. They have a great lineup of guests. They themselves, they share their experiences, and I know it will help you through your journey. So I wanted to wish you continued success, good health, and many blessings in 2024 and beyond.
Nice.
Hooray, hooray, Phoebe. Thank you so much. She's a great example. Yeah. Yeah, she
Yes.
deserves it. Thank you. Godspeed, my dear sister. So, Darren, when we look at the family structure, and I feel this is kind of dear to you,
Hmm.
what would you suggest to parents the kind of role that they should play as role models, as mentors to their children? Because now the responsibility of parents seems to be a great more demanding and a lot more testing in terms of the challenges that are coming, and most of them are in the ecosystem that exists around us.
Yes.
How would you advise parents to maintain that communication with their children so that it leaves the door open for trust, for
Hmm.
vulnerability, and for an open door with regards to discussing issues that appear to be challenges but may need some simple solutions?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, several different things that they can do, which helped me, like I said, connect with my
Yeah.
boys as well. One of the things that I do is when I talk to a parent and I talk to a child, sometimes I'll do both at the same time, but it's good to talk to them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But basically letting them know,
Yeah.
write down 50 things that are going on in your life, especially with the parent, especially with the child, and write down 20 things that are challenging to you. And then
Mm-hmm.
come together and pass that information to the next person. Why? Because a lot of times our kids don't know all the stuff that we go through. Some of us parents have to work 2 and 3 jobs. Some of
Mm-hmm.
us parents have to work overtime. Some of us parents have to deal with life challenges in terms of like health. I recently had diabetes, and I'm diabetes free now.
Thank
Uh,
God.
and also mental challenges too. So yeah, praise God. And when, because I recently did this with my wife also, and it was revealing because I didn't know how she felt about certain things, and she didn't
Mm.
know how I felt about certain things. So it
Yeah.
allowed both of us to be uh, to not judge one another, but
Mm-hmm.
basically to open up and let each other know,
Yeah.
okay, this is not going right with me. This is going right with me, but I need to do more of this. What do you think about that? Getting the perspective.
Yeah.
A lot of times
Yeah.
we suffer in silence because we're in our own head, and
Mm.
we need to get out of our own head. And one of the things I talk about in the book is positive affirmations, speaking
Yeah.
life. One of the books, I've read over 300 some books that my mentors have guided me to read. The Hung by the Tongue
Mm-hmm.
was one of the books, and the
Uh-huh.
tongue, the creative force. It talks
Okay.
about, and it's biblical because the power of life and death is in the tongue.
Yes.
And once you speak that, it becomes that,
Mm-hmm.
so you got to be careful what you say.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we have to be careful what we say to our kids also, because our kids, we don't think a lot of times that they're listening, but they listen.
Mm-hmm.
So some parents, they say, oh, well, my kid's this and my kid's that. And you got to be careful, because now that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy now, because those kids will look to act out to do those things. So like I said, getting back to the basics of finding out how one another, or what one another is going through, because a lot of times parents have no clue where their kids are. They have no clue who their kids are hanging out with. They have no clue what they've been listening to. And with this whole noise on social media, that doesn't help. That
Yeah.
doesn't help at all.
Yeah.
Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of fake stuff on social media. And I understand in sales, they say fake it till you make it. That don't sit well with me. That
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
it really does.
Yeah. Yeah.
But getting back to basics, and finding out, and then once you gather that information, come together and put a plan in place, so that way both parties, whether it's a son and a father, or a mother and a daughter, or if it's a husband or wife, now you have some idea of where you want to go in some direction. So yeah, that it worked for us,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
continue to pass this information on to others.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Darren. So you in
Hmm.
Miami, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you,
Originally from Brooklyn,
all
Brooklyn, New York.
right. So do you think that how far do you yeah, bravo. Uh how far do you think Tua is gonna take these guys on his comeback?
Say again.
How
Say again.
far do you think Tua is gonna take these guys on his comeback?
I'm not sure. um, I, you know, it, it, things like I said, there's so much noise on social media on social media right now. When people, and I know the minute you said that, it took me back, because I was thinking about sales and marketing, and then you took me
Uh-huh.
to another place. So I'm sorry, I had
Yeah.
to switch modes just now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but nowadays folks are, instead of wanting to go for a legacy, they just want to get paid. They just want
Mm.
to
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
accolades, and it's not
Yeah.
about accolades. It's not
Yeah.
about accolades, and it's not about
Yeah.
all that rah rah stuff. It's what happens
Mm.
behind the scenes that matters.
Yeah.
So um, I don't think things happen the way they should
Mm-hmm.
or should have,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
uh, we will see. We
Yeah.
will see, because
I hear that.
there were a few interviews prior to all of that kind of led me to believe that,
Mm-hmm.
nah, folks aren't going to go all in. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Stephen A said the same thing, and I was thinking, no, he did, Darren. He did. I listened closely to these guys, because I consider them as the leaders in us understanding from a color commentary perspective what is happening. I love
Hmm.
my sport. It helps me get that balance. When I need a moment to kind of get away from the coaching, the writing, the singing, the preaching, whatever.
Yeah.
But
I know him from Brooklyn.
oh, okay. Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So we are coming to the end of this amazing program, folks, with Darren Williams live in the house. And I have an ad from our friend fineradioguest.com. I'm just gonna run it. It's for 27 minutes. And then when we come back, 27 seconds, sorry. When we come back, we're gonna take some closing remarks from Darren, his parting statement to the world. And Darren, I want you to imagine that you have this megaphone
Hmm.
and you can speak to just about 7.8 billion people, which is roughly the world population. Think about what you're going to tell them as we get this ad from our friends at fineyourguest.com. for 27 seconds. Here we go. FindRadioGuest.com, the place to click to find guests to interview for free. And if you're a radio show booker, podcaster, talk show host, or television producer, then this is the place to get podcasts and radio interviews or promote your books and products as a guest expert sponsor. FindRadioGuest.com. Check it out. Yeah, thank you, our friends at FindRadioGuest.com. Ever so often they give me a bump. I see my profile go up, and I get my interviews. I get my experts. They're an amazing platform. So, Darren, what would you say to the world as a parting gift? Something that you want them to always remember and never forget.
To never, ever, ever forget and never give up. Never give up, never give in. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. And the enemy, the adversary is always going to try to trip you up. Don't let him win. The minute you let him win, everything goes out the window. You got to continue keeping your eyes on our Father in heaven to make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you. I feel that. So I put up some stuff there on the board. Tell them which one is the most efficient and effective one to get you and how they can get a copy of the book, my bro.
Yes. They can find me on Facebook.com and they can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well. And Instagram, I'm on Instagram too. But they can also get a copy of my book on Amazon.com. And I'm on Audible also because I found a brother, he did a bang-up job on Audible. So, and my website is beatingtheoddscoach.com. So beatingtheoddscoach.com. And I look forward to being able to help many folks. And for those that's going to be referred to you by me, to you, I will give them a special discount for a first-time coaching and everything.
Yeah, there you go, folks. Wonderful. Thank you, Darren. BeatingTheOddsCoach.com. Check out his website and go to Amazon and get a copy of that wonderful book. So, for the time being, we will leave you guys. And for those who are going to be viewing this in the future, we say thank you for your continued commitment and to support our program and the work that we are doing. Remember, our watchwords are health, happiness, and prosperity. And that's for everyone that exists on this planet.
Amen.
Until next time, this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development, together with my guest, Darren Williams, saying so long, Godspeed, God bless. Shalom, guys. Namaste. Bye for now. Take care.